guys, this is Trevor with Patrick Adair Supplies, and today we're going to be making a ring that will make you feel like royalty. Okay, so this month we are doing, it's called the Regal Ring, and we've got our gold-plated tungsten band. We have crimson red opal, an empty vial. We have our red glow powder, our rusty red pigment, and we have 4 sheets of gold leaf. All right, so I'm gonna try and tape up the sides of this ring to avoid scratching the gold plating off because it is pretty fragile. And all I'm doing is trying to line it up with the end of that channel. And I'm gonna wrap it all the way around on both sides. And then we'll get to work on it. For mixing our pigment, I put in around 4 scoops of pigment and then add the glow up towards the top. And if you want more color, just add more until you're satisfied with what it comes out to be. I then crushed the crimson red opal fairly small, trying to avoid turning it into a powder. And put it into a vial with 1 sheet of the gold foil and just mixed it all up. I did it this way just to try and save some time, and it would also give me a nice random assortment of the gold foil placement in the band. If you want, you can hand place it yourself, but I just thought this was a nice, easy way to get a nice random layout. So to start inlaying, I did a thin layer of our thick CA around the ring and then covered it with our opal and gold foil mixture. I then just pushed everything down with the back end of my tweezers and then covered it with our rusty red pigment mix and then blowing off the excess pigment. Then I took our super thin CA and just wet it enough to saturate that pigment and turn it that nice rusty red color. I don't want it to be so wet that it's dripping, just enough to hold everything in place. And then I added 1 more layer of that opal mix on top and sealed it all together with a small spray of accelerant. Then to finish filling up the ring, I just put the lathe at a slow RPM and slowly added super thin until it was full up to the top. Once the ring has been cured, I then carefully Dremel down to our layer of that tape, and once I hit the tape, I started wet sanding with the 500 grit sandpaper to get rid of any striations from that Dremel. And once I cleared any holes or divots in that ring, I did one more layer of our super thin CA and cured it with the accelerant. And once it was cured, then I started wet sanding with that 500 grit again. Usually I do 220, but since this is such a fragile ring, I stuck with 500 grit the most of the entire time. So I just keep wet sanding with that 500 grit until I get down to that layer of tape, and I'm just periodically checking throughout the sanding process to make sure that I'm not hitting that plating layer. Eventually, when I get to that layer of tape, I will take that tape off and then start wet sanding with the 1000 grit. Again, just constantly checking to make sure that I'm not taking the plating off and making sure that I'm getting that inlay down flush with the ring. And once I am satisfied with getting it flush, we are pretty much done. I usually will add a polish layer, but I was a little bit worried that the rough polish may take off some of the plating, so I avoided it. I don't know if it will take off any of the plating, but I did it just to be on the safe side. So after that 1000 grit wet sand, you are left with our regal ring. I hope you guys have a wonderful holidays, and don't forget to like and subscribe.